Welcome to Tilly's Trans Tuesdays. This week, we're talking about a change nearly every trans person hopes for but never knows if it'll arrive. Actually seeing ourselves in photos. Here comes Photos 2, the Selfie Apocalypse. Hi, I'm Tilly Bridges, your host, and I'm joined by my writing partner, my best friend, my wife, our token cis representation, a human with more patience than you'd believe because she puts up with all my incessant selfieing, Susan Bridges.
Hello.
You give me that knowing look sometimes, like, come on, how much longer do you need? Listen, you gotta find the right
It's more when you ask me to take pictures of you.
I stopped doing that.
Yeah, because that was just... that didn't work very well.
Well, listen, we're going to talk about that next week. I know my angles. Okay. Our returning guest is Errata, a femme non-binary scholar and artist based out of Michigan. While it may not be obvious from her current social media habits, she used to really struggle with having her picture taken. Over the last year, she's cultivated a new appreciation for the art of the selfie and enjoys sharing her unique sense of fashion in queer spaces online. Errata credits the support she found in trans social media spaces for her newfound sense of confidence in front of the camera lens and in the world at large. Welcome back, Errata.
Hey, it's great to be back.
Okay, so I definitely wanted to have you on as our guest for these 3 episodes because your selfies are consistently amazing. So how did your appreciation for the art of the selfie come about?
I think it's when I started to develop like my new wardrobe after I started transitioning. And I started to really like, I liked feeling like I had some options for
Yeah.
once.
Right? Oh my God. Yes.
I was like a jeans and t-shirt dude for such a long time that like
Same.
it's nice to have so many choices, even among just dresses. You have so many different silhouettes and cuts that
Yes.
that experimentation with finding what works for you and what feels good. Like that was amazing. So I had been starting to get compliments on the way that I dress. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to like document this. I want to be able to share that. And
Yeah.
so like it was, a process to get comfier with that kind of visibility of, being perceived by a camera, having to perceive myself retroactively and then letting others see that. Like that took some time to get comfy with. But I think part of it was making it a practice, something that I was like intentionally doing. Part of it was the excitement of, oh, I have these new clothes, like I want to celebrate that.
Yeah.
Or I just learned this new this cool new makeup thing that I'm starting to get good at. I want to
You're really good at makeup too.
capture that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes. I'm a little jealous.
It takes me like entirely too long. So like, don't be jealous.
Me too.
You're like saving yourself so much time.
Well, let me ask you this. When you first started posting selfies, like, do you remember your first couple? Like, did it terrify you to put them out there? Because I remember the very first few I posted and I'm like, should I post this? People will see this. They will see what's closest to the real me at the time. And it terrified me. I really wanted to do it so bad because after a whole life, I wanted to be seen by people finally, but I was so scared, like, I don't know of what, but I was just, it really felt really vulnerable.
Yeah, it absolutely does feel vulnerable. Like part of it is if you haven't made a practice of it,
Yeah.
like the camera sees you differently than you see yourself in the mirror. And so even as I was getting comfortable with what I saw in the mirror, what was reflected in the camera lens was not quite it. I had to work. You had said that your angles, but that's so huge to be able to be like, okay,
Right.
I know what I look like And if I hold my phone or I hold a pose at this right angle, it's like, ah, there she is. Okay,
Exactly.
get her, capture her.
Yes, yes.
And when I first started kind of experimenting with gender, right? I had made some new friends. It was like post-graduation from undergrad. I had made some new friends and they were having folks over for like dinner and then they were gonna shoot photos after. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna come for the dinner and I'll just like sit out for the photos. It's fine.
Yeah.
And they encouraged me. Like once I was there, they're like, listen, like we have costumes and we have wigs, we have makeup. Like let's just like have some fun with this. And you don't have to show pictures to anybody, but like let's take some. Like we're all doing it. Okay, fine. They like nudged me into it. And those pictures were like the first time that I saw myself reflected back to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, oh, there's something here. Like this looks more me than anything that I've ever seen before. And that
Yes.
that kind of wanting to capture that again, that feeling, right? And that image was, I think, really encouraging that it was something that I chased for a long time. And it was
Yeah.
primarily because I wasn't like out. I was still experimenting. Like a lot of it was like, okay, I'm gonna do a little makeup, and now there's like a little more me here. Okay,
Yeah.
great. And it was just kind of a matter of like an accumulation of those things, the angles or the
Yeah. Yeah.
makeup or what I was wearing, facial expression, body language, right? You start accumulating over time, and as you do, it's like, okay, that's a little more me. It's a little more me.
Yeah. Yeah. A
Um,
little bit at a time, step by step.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And for folks that want to know more about knowing your angles and all that good stuff, be sure you come back next week because we're going to talk all about that because people have been asking me, surprisingly, for a very long time to do a guide to selfies, and you're going to finally get one. But I wanted to say that I had something kind of similar to what you did in that before I came out publicly, when I knew I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I need to transition, I went to a Hollywood makeup artist who does makeovers for trans women.
Mm.
And she put makeup on me for the first time in my life. And it was not makeup that I would ever choose to put on myself. But when she put it on, and then she showed me in the mirror, I almost cried because it was the
Mm.
closest I'd ever come to seeing myself. And she took photos of me. She's like, let me get some photos of you with your phone so you have them. And they're from a bad angle with really bad lighting. And I will never show them to anyone. And I look terrible in them. But at the time, it was the closest I'd ever, it was the first glimpse of the real me ever. And it was the tiniest, but it was there. And I could tell. And I was like, I know I gotta transition now. I have to do this. She's in there. So yeah, it can be a really, really powerful thing when it finally starts to happen. All right, for you, what has been the most surprising thing about your transition?
I am continually like surprised and baffled that people like the bald look. Like that was not something
You
that
make it
I
look
was
so hot. It's so good.
Thank you. I just like it's something that I did like during COVID lockdown because I'm like, well, I've never
Yeah,
done this before. Like my hair is awful anyway. Like if it doesn't look good, it'll grow back and before anybody sees it. And like even then I after I shaved my head for the first time, and this was pre any kind of medical transition, I'm just like, oh dang, how do I look more femme without hair? That's wild. And so like I've just kind of decided to lean into it and say, all right, I don't like the way wigs feel. They're expensive, and honestly, I don't trust myself to take care of a nice one. And so, but I'm already shaving my face every day. Like I can every other day just like give myself a quick buzz, keep it really
yeah,
short. And I liked the way that it looked, but I didn't think that people would find it like beautiful, right? It was more like a one of those compromises we make with ourselves, right? Where it's like, well,
yeah,
this is not ideal, but I can work with this. And I think since I think that I've grown quite attached to the look. I think that it looks very me, and I think I found a way to wear it that's still feminine.
completely. Let me
Yeah,
assure you.
I appreciate that.
Yes, yes.
And I mean, part of that was like I have had some like moderate success in gaining followers on Bluesky, and
Mm-hmm.
it, larger than any other social media account I've had on any other platform. And it was I think because primarily I was posting selfies and people seemed to like them. So that was a huge confidence boost too that I wasn't anticipating. And not only would this be a look that could be read as feminine, but like people would actually like it.
Yeah.
That's took some getting used to wrap my head around.
I can believe it. I think it feels to me like it falls into one of those things that society tells us, one of those many, many things that women have to be a certain way, men have to be a certain way, you have to look like this, you have to be like this. And society very much says that women are supposed to have long hair and beautiful hair and definitely can't be bald. And that is not true. It is not true at all. I know multiple different bald trans women and they all look so good. And you are one of them. And, you know, people who listen to this show, there's a few times in the past where I've mentioned that I know some bald trans ladies who are absolutely gorgeous, unbelievably fire. And you are one of them. Your selfies are so good. You look so amazing. I don't know. I don't think I could do the bald look. I mean, I love the long curly hair that I have, but my head is also very bumpy. It feels like when I rub my hands over, I have a bumpy head. I think it would look really weird, but you have a beautiful head, so.
I have where genetics have failed me when it comes to having nice hair. It has at least spared me and given me a head that looks good bald, which is great.
Yeah.
And like I think we had talked last time about media representation,
Yeah.
right? And this has also been the last couple of years has been a really good time for like beautiful deranged bald women, right? With
I like that
Cassandra
you threw
Nova
deranged in
and
there.
well, I mean, we need to have some representation for the
Of
deranged girls
course. Of
too,
course.
right? But like Cassandra Nova in the new Wolverine Deadpool movie and the villain from the new D&D movie, that like we're starting to get a little representation out there as villains, but I mean, I'll take it.
That's how it always starts, right? Queer people are always
Right.
the villain, the queer-coded villains. And so, you know, then we get to move up to being okay people, but we're written by people who are not us. And that's
Yeah,
problematic in
tragic
its
but
own way.
okay, right?
Yeah, right. Okay, before we get into this week's discussion, want to remind folks where they can find you online after listening.
Yeah, you can find me on Bluesky at theydem.press. So they them press. And I post mostly selfies. Occasionally I'll hyperfixate on something and you'll get sick of hearing about like chiptune or whatever else I'm obsessed with at the moment. But primarily you can find the selfies there.
Do it. You will not regret it. They're so good. Okay, before we start, I want to say that as this essay is the selfie apocalypse, I'm going to be talking about a whole flood of my selfies because something important happened that I want to talk about. And you can see all of these selfies in the text version of this essay at tilliestrans2stays.com. Also, this is like a 300 level trans class, so be sure you've taken the prerequisite classes like Gender Dysphoria, episode 59 of this podcast, another prerequisite, Photos and Reflections, which was just last week in episode 91 of this show. And for another prerequisite, see the essay on gender euphoria at tilliestrans2stays.com. I want to reiterate something I've mentioned many times before, both in these essays and just in general. Trans people often take a lot of selfies. After a lifetime of not seeing ourselves, we have a lot to catch up on. And seeing ourselves is euphoric. And in this society that wants us to not exist, that tries to legislate us out of public life by excluding us from sports and bathrooms, that wants to take our health care away and force detransition us, see episodes 88 and 89 on Trans Politics 1 and 2 for more on that. Every selfie a trans person posts is an act of resistance. It is us standing up against the system and saying, you cannot silence me. You cannot make me disappear. I exist. And screw you if you think I shouldn't. Just wanted to be real clear about that. Okay, now that you've done the homework and are prepped, let's dig in. About 2.5 years into my social and medical transition, something happened. I don't know exactly what caused it. I surmise it's a combo of changes from HRT, see the essay on it at tilliestrans2stays.com, and voice training, see the Trans Voices series of this show, episodes 45, 46, and 47. I don't know exactly when it happened, though the rough time frame will become apparent as we go, but part of my transition changed. Actually, it wasn't my transition that changed, but my response to it, I guess. Not on a conscious level, but somewhere deep inside my core Morpheus was like, hey, this isn't the same anymore. Did you notice that, Tills? Did you? I don't know how you could have missed it, but if you haven't seen my super lengthy Matrix Trans Allegory deep dive and thus do not get my reference, once again I beseech you to check out my book, Begin Transmission, The Trans Allegories of the Matrix. Will she ever stop plugging it? All signs point to no. Photos of me pre-transition used to spike my dysphoria something awful. It was really, really bad. I hated seeing them. I couldn't find the date of this one that I'm talking about that you can see in the text version of when it was taken, but it's immaterial because it's exactly what I looked like for all of my adult life. You can see me with a short buzz-cut hairstyle and a very stubble-filled face, standing outside with arms crossed and facing away from the lighting. Girl, come on. This is what I looked like in the wedding photos I have with Susan, though I was clean-shaven there, which I talked about last week in Photos and Reflections. It's what I looked like in all photos from then until I transitioned. It's what I looked like in all photos I took with our kid until I transitioned. It's still incredibly painful to know I will never have any of those photos with me in them. But there's nothing I can do about that since we humans stubbornly refuse to experience time in anything other than a forward linear fashion. We're the worst. Well, almost, because for a reminder on all the ways our past forever screws with trans people who transition as adults, see The Past and Why It Haunts Us way back in episode 2 of this show. And then see The Past 3, aka Trans Grief, episodes 48 and 49, when I kinda did get to see photos from the young me that never got to exist, and what a wild, amazing, beautiful, sad, complicated, rough situation it was. But let's get back to this big change that happened. I have a frame over my desk that I see every day, and in it are 16 different photos of our family life together. Susan here gave it to me as a gift pre-transition, and I love it dearly, despite the fact that the true me does not appear in any of them. I mention this only so you understand I have daily, constant reminders of what I used to look like. And in a way, I'm glad I do, because otherwise I wouldn't have noticed that over time, photos of myself from pre-transition spiked my dysphoria less and less. I didn't know why that was, but I eventually figured it out, and we'll get there in a bit. Now, to be clear, pre-transition photos of me aren't great. I don't like them or anything, and I'd be fine if I never saw them again. But they no longer give me dysphoria, and that's amazing. I never thought that could happen. And it's because early in my transition, I still saw the person in those photos as me, but that's not me, and thus it caused the dysphoria spike. But now I do not identify with the person in those photos at all. My brain, my heart, my soul all know that's not me. I don't know who that is. It's just some guy I'm completely disconnected from standing in for me in photos of my past where he does not belong. And this is why I don't like them, because those are my memories and he shouldn't be there, I should. But the dysphoria they always brought me is gone because my connection to that person has been severed entirely. That was never me. A photo of one of my friends who's a man, or even a photo of a random man, don't spike my dysphoria, so why would photos of that man who was never who I was? This is what I'm trying to get at. I have apparently gotten far enough into my transition that I've completely disassociated from that dude. Which I guess is on brand, because when I was forced to live as him, all I did was disassociate for my entire life, so I didn't have to deal with the horrible pain. Being trans is wild, yo. If you want to learn a lot more about what dissociating from yourself and not knowing what's real and time being weird and seemingly losing years of your life, see the Trans Tuesdays on the intentional trans allegory of I Saw the TV Glow, which began in episode 81 of this podcast. Okay, so Errata, we touched on this a little bit last time, but have you noticed it changing over time, your response to old photos of you? Like, I know you said they used to be rough, but is it getting better for you also as you get further disconnected from that version of you?
Yeah, I think that I'm able to offer myself a little bit more like grace, right? It used
Yeah.
to be like, oh, that imposter who is not me is in this photo, and I hate the way that they look.
Yeah.
And I would also do, I think you had talked last episode about making the silly faces
Yep.
in photos. That was me to a T. Like I saw that. I'm like, oh, I'm so seen here. And I think that, yeah, over time, I've gotten a lot more comfortable because I no longer look like that. And I have, made some peace with like that is what I used to look like. It may not be
Yeah.
me, but that is how I experience the world. And I think that that kind of contributes to or is maybe informed by the way that like I identify, right? I identify as like femme, non-binary, and like because I am a feminine person. I am a woman. However, the like totality of my experience on this earth, I was not read as such
Yeah.
for such a long time, right? And so like my experience in life has been a non-binary one. And I like the way that that captures kind of the full the totality of like who I have been, who I am, and who I am becoming. And I think that in kind of framing my identity and my gender journey that way, that like that's allowed me to be a lot more comfortable and have a lot more grace for those photos of me where it doesn't quite look right, but
Yeah.
for the time, it was the fashion of the time, right?
I like that you said that about giving yourself grace, though, because like that was a hard thing for me to learn. At first,
Mhm.
I was so mad at the old version of myself. Like, what took you so long to finally get up the courage, right? But
Yeah.
then as I got further in, I softened and had more grace for myself about it. That, you know what, I was doing the best I could at the time with what I had, the information I had, where I was in life. That was the best I could do. And that version of me got me here. So I'm very, very thankful for that. So I think it's important to be kind to ourselves.
Yeah, I think that like one of the really beautiful things that's come out of transition is that I'm no longer willing to tolerate making do
Yeah.
and but also knowing that that's something that I've recently started to cultivate, right? I do have a lot more grace for my former self, who was truly just making do
Yeah.
with what she had. And yeah, that has been really helpful
Yeah.
to think about it that way.
Yeah. Folks listening, give yourselves grace too. Be kind to yourselves, please, as kind as you would be to everyone else around you that you care about. Now it is such a joy to find myself disconnected from the false me in old photos. But there's always a but. I encountered a new problem and a new source of dysphoria I could never have anticipated, and that's photos of me early in transition. Photos I loved at the time because they were the first hints of the true me coming to the surface, started to give me dysphoria something awful because they'd become what old pre-transition photos used to be, me but not me. The absolute worst is the one I posted when I came out publicly on July 5th, 2020. It's just, well, I hate it. I hate it. If I could go back and delete it, I would. Or I could, but that would feel somewhat disingenuous. You can see a copy of it in the text version of this thread. I put it up there because I try to be open and honest. It's part of my journey. And I also think it's important for other trans people just starting their transitions to know it's not necessarily a quick process to seeing yourself. You don't just decide to transition and poof, selfies you love. So, whereas pre transition photos of me used to look like a bad costume of a man, now early transition photos of me look like a bad costume of the real me on top of a bad costume of a man, if that makes any sense. I always try, like I said, to be as open and honest as I can in these essays, sharing things that maybe make me uncomfortable, but I do it anyway because it helps people, and I know that because you've told me. And trans folks being open helped me when I was figuring this all out. That photo became just as bad as pre-transition photos were all my life and early on in my transition. Maybe somehow even worse, because it's the slightest move closer to the real me, yet still so far away that it hurts. Not just emotionally, but physically, because dysphoria sucks. Okay, do you remember your very first transition photo, Errata? Did it bring up any weird feelings for you? Or like looking back on it, does it make you uncomfortable? Are you happy with it? How did it come out?
Yeah, and I mean it's hard to pinpoint to what I would consider to be like my first transition photo, right?
Sure.
Because like way back when, like in the early 2010s, like I had the first photo that looked more like me, or I saw myself in it,
Yeah.
right? And so is that the first transition photo, or is it the first photo that I took when I started presenting more femme in public spaces? Is it the first photo I took when after starting HRT? Like so pinpointing that moment even for someone like me who took quite a long time to figure some things out.
Yeah.
It is difficult, but like I do, when I see folks doing the the transition timeline thing,
Yeah.
right? Where you post a photo from X long ago and now like the scroll through, especially like those early transition photos can be really hard. It's just like there's got to be one in here where it looks like halfway decent.
Not for me.
Right.
Yeah.
They're few and far between. And part of that was being in kind of those early stages where, as you said, you see more of you, certainly, but it's not what you're used to seeing, and it's not as doesn't feel quite as authentically you, but you're still kind of there.
Yeah.
And those are sometimes a little hard to look at. And part of it too is like I've gotten a lot better at taking selfies. And so I'm like, girl, if you just like tilted your head a little bit this way and move the camera up just a scooch, like this would be a really good photo, but you did not know that at the time.
You didn't know what you were doing, no.
Part of it is the slowness of transition, and part of it is the slow accumulation of skill, of technique, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Let me ask you this, Susan. This is a question that just occurred to me because I don't know what this is like. As a cis person, you've theoretically seen yourself in photos for your whole life. Do you connect with photos of yourself like from childhood or from your teen or college years? Do you feel like that's you when you look at them? I have no frame of reference for this.
Well, they're all bad. I mean, it's like I could actually relate to your journey more because I didn't actually have much freedom when I was a child. Like, my mother was very controlling.
Yeah.
She chose all of my clothing. I was simply not allowed to get anything that she did not approve of. Like, so, like, I dressed like a little church girl until I was, like, 16 or 17 and, like, hideous dresses with these floral patterns.
Okay, so then
an 8-year-old should have worn, maybe.
Then in the photos of those, do you have a disconnect? Like we do, sort of, where you're like, that's not really me? Like, was the clothes and the presentation that she sort of forced you into enough to make a disconnect happen for you?
It just feels more tragic, not like that's me. Not
so it's you, but it's a sad you.
It's sad.
Okay, it is sad. Parents, don't do that to your kids. It's terrible. Let them express themselves. All right, well, just as bad is the next photo I'm going to talk about, which was the closest I could find to when I started HRT from July 17th, 2020, and so I had been using it as the base to track changes over time in my timeline photos. See the HRT essay at tilliestrans-tuesdays.com if you need more on that. None of that photo looks like me. Even my glasses aren't right for the real me, and my eyes are still half dead, but also half alive for the first time. I don't know who this chick is in this photo, but she is not me, but I can see more hints of me starting to appear in there. If you'd like to see those transition timeline photos and learn more about the amazing things hormone replacement therapy has done for me over time, see my 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and 4 years out and on HRT retrospectives at tilliestrans-tuesdays.com. 3 and 4 also happened while this podcast was running, which were episodes 29 and 75, respectively. What's really interesting to me is that just a few days after that day 1 HRT photo, I noticed a significant drop in the dysphoria my photos gave me. Mind you, I think that selfie is still bad, but it's notably less so than the previous 2, and it's from July 21st, 2020. It somehow looks more like a mix of pre-transition me and the real me than ever before. And then there wasn't much of a difference in my reaction to any of them after that until we get to December 11th, 2020. That was by far the best photo I'd ever had in my life up to that point. Looking back at it a couple of years in, it was still dysphoric, though not quite as bad as the previous one. Now, however, it brings me no dysphoria. I see only Tillie, even though she doesn't look quite right. My eyes in it seem very confused, like, what is happening here? I didn't know. Unfortunately, we then hop all the way to May 2nd, 2021, and my first photo wearing the bow from my childhood that I talked about back in episode 2, The Past and Why It Haunts Us. This was a step backward for reasons I can't explain. It causes more dysphoria than the previous pic, but not as bad as my coming out pic. I don't understand any of this. Transition and dysphoria are wild. But then I got my bangs, and they helped a ton. I discovered I like them longer than they are in the next 2 photos, but they still helped a lot. And the one where I'm wearing makeup helped even more. These are still mildly dysphoric for me now, from May 23rd and June 19th, 2021, respectively. In the first, my eyes look a little more lively, but it still feels off to me. And in the second one, I'm looking at the camera with a bit of an oddly blank expression. I was so bad at selfies. Okay. Then we get to my 1-year retrospective check-in from August 7th, 2021, and it backpedals again. I'm not sure why, but that one is really dysphoric, which is weird because next to the one from the year prior, I can see so much positive change. But it bugs me, and I think it's because I see it getting so much closer to the real me, but it's still not quite there. And so even though it's closer, it feels miles further away. But I have much more, but still not enough, life in my eyes and some very badly done eyeliner. On November 20th, 2021, things got better again. I don't love this one, but the dysphoria dropped back down to a lower level. And it shows the rare left side of my face. It's not my good side, and I have a scar there I don't like, so I don't show it much, but enjoy seeing the rare left side of my face if you like. Now here's where things start to turn. December 11th, 2021. This photo still gives me a bit of dysphoria, but at the time it was the least amount I'd ever experienced in a photo of myself for my entire life. Is it the combo of longer bangs, bow, and makeup, HRT magic? I don't know. Also, my hair is up in a pineapple, and that might be the first pineapple photo I ever posted for those of you who are fans of the pineapple. By the way, if you missed why bows became important to me and are actually tied into my transition and somehow my sexuality and extracting the two from each other, see Sexuality is Not Gender in episode 73 of this show. December 28, 2021 is a milestone. It was the first time I was able to wear a unisex-style hoodie and not feel dysphoric. It's loose and baggy and hides my form, and those are all things that I used to wear all the time to hide the body I never wanted to see and be reminded of. Plus, it's a rockin' 80s NASA hoodie that has hot pink spacesuit on it. It's really cool. Anyway, it caused mild dysphoria at the time of the photo, but that I could even wear it and tolerate a photo of myself in it was extraordinary. I've since progressed even further to where things like that no longer give me any dysphoria at all. Have you encountered anything like that, Errata, with clothing specifically, like things that you couldn't bring yourself to wear maybe early in transition? You found later that you could return to them okay?
Yeah, when I was still living in Indiana and presenting like vaguely non-binary, I had gravitated as I graduated from the jeans and the t-shirt, and I went to like these kind of short sleeve button-up shirts that have like colorful pixelated glitchy designs on them and stuff that I'm like, okay, like this cut doesn't like necessarily do what I want it to, but like this pattern feels me. Okay, great.
Sure.
And when I had started, like when I come out and started transition and started, changing my wardrobe, I got rid of a lot of old clothes. I'm like, I'm not going to wear this again.
Yeah.
But I had kept a few of those shirts because I'm like, okay, these are actually like, these are nice. I like them. And at some point, like maybe I'll find a trans dude who like, needs, who's like roughly my size and needs some, new clothes. And
the
so I'll
trans
keep them.
clothing swap. Oh,
yeah, exactly. And so I kept them. And then like probably year and a half into medical transition, I had neglected to do laundry for a hot second and I was running out of things to wear. So I was digging in my closet and I'm like, okay, like maybe we wear this one again. And I put it on and it was like, oh damn, like I thought this was gonna make me look like a dude, but I still look like a woman in this.
Yeah.
This is cool. And part
Isn't
of
it
it was
amazing?
changing the way that I had like styled it and the way that I wore it. And part of it was because of changes in my body. And like I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess these are mine again. And I don't wear them terribly often, but like every once in a while when I want to butch it up a little bit, it's nice. They're fun. So I'm happy that I was able to like find some like renewed joy in these pieces of clothing that like at one point were not serving me and now they are again. And that, I don't know, there's something really special about that, I think.
I think so too. It's a neat connection to your past, and I think it's like a visceral, tangible reminder of things changing. I hid in this and then it made me feel bad, but now it doesn't. And that means I have changed, and that's really cool. So, to the trans folks listening, if you've got clothes that you used to kind of be attached to, but you can't bring yourself to wear, hold on to them. You never know in a year or two, or you never know. You just never know. Try them again and see how you feel. Things change over time. Okay, jumping a little out of sequence to March 6, 2022, there's another selfie in a hoodie with no makeup that causes still less dysphoria. It was really sticking. and it's another pineapple photo. But then going back to the linear timeline, because we're humans that are forced to experience life this way, January 7th, 14th, 16th, and 22nd, 2022 were 4 of the best photos I'd seen of myself ever. I was agog. I loved them, all in the span of a couple weeks, all with very minimal dysphoria. I never thought that would be possible. And one of them is a photo of the first time I did pigtails. That was a big day. Okay. January 29th, February 6th, February 9th, February 20th, 2022 continue the trend. Minimal dysphoria, photos I love a lot that caused me almost no discomfort. It felt like a gift. And then, April 14th, 2022, I didn't know it at the time, but I can now tell you this is the exact photo where, for the first time in my entire life, there was no gender dysphoria. None. I look at it and all I see is me. And a social media post I made that day reads, "Feeling cute, still a new and strange experience, but I like it." The trend somehow continued only 2 days later on April 16th, 2022. A social media post I made reads, "Listen, to actually feel cute again." 2 days later, something's happening. I didn't know if HRT hit a point where my face finally matches my head or it's the makeup help at Vivacious Vandal gave me or what. I was lucky to get one of these in 6 months. I don't know how to handle this. The at Vivacious Vandal I mentioned, by the way, is Aoife Baker, who was our guest in episodes 50 and 51 of this show. Trans friends good at makeup. Give your friends tips. They need help. Trust me, some of us do. Okay. April 19th, 2022. You can already see me kind of freaking out and not knowing what's happening to me. A social media post I made reads, "Can she make it 3 cute photos in a row on entirely different days, all within 1 week? Reader, she can. I don't know what is happening, but I would very much like it to never stop." April 23rd, 2022. The confidence is growing. I'm starting to think this might be a real thing. The social media post I made that day reads, "It's ya girl." 4. This is 4 photos in a row that I've loved and felt cute in and like they actually depict me. It's kind of world-changing. Not sure I ever thought this was possible. Do what scares you, friends. You deserve to be happy. Believe it's possible. April 30th, 2022, and it's just celebratory at this point. A social media post I made reads, 5 in a row. Hearts floating around a smiley face emoji. May 7th, 2022 is my least favorite of this streak, but it still causes no dysphoria. A social media post I made reads, 6. Am I now unstoppable? Who can say? In that photo, you can see my Star Trek Delta in the Trans Pride Colors shirt, which is actually official merchandise, and it's super cool to have. May 8, 2022, just 1 day later, no makeup, no effort, taken right after I ripped my heart out writing the first draft of the Transparent Mother's Day essay, which became episode 19 of this show. The trend still marches on. The social media post I made that day reads, 7? A quick, no makeup, gloomy Sunday shot after I just ripped my heart out writing this week's Trans Tuesday on my complex relationship with motherhood. And I still really like it. This is absolutely bananas. May 11th, 2022, a totally spur-of-the-moment, unplanned photo because I like the lighting in the car. No makeup, hair screwed up by the wind, no dysphoria. A social media post I made reads, when you're bored waiting in the car but notice there's good lighting, and even though you have no makeup on and the wind effed up your curls something good, you somehow still get number 8. This is really something, friends. May 13th, 2022, the no dysphoria streak still somehow continues. A social media post I made reads, your girl cleans up okay. 9! Culminating on May 14th, 2022, the first time I'd ever looked at a photo of myself and not only felt zero dysphoria, but I thought I might actually be a cute/attractive woman somehow. At the time, it was my favorite photo in my entire life. A social media post I made reads, oh shit, I might be really effing cute? What the heck? 10. August 12th, 2022. New most favorite photo of my entire life. The most me that's ever been captured in a photo. In fact, I love this photo so much that I use it as my author photo on the back of my book. I liked it so much, I was okay with everyone who ever bought my book having this photo of me in their homes. What the entire damn hell, fam? That is unfathomable. Have you ever hit a point like that, Errata, where it was just gold after gold and you were so happy to see yourself in photo after photo after photo and you couldn't believe it just kept happening?
Yeah, and I don't know if I could pinpoint it. I'm sure if I went back and looked through my photos, I could
That's one way
have a
social media really
similar,
helped. I had a record right there.
Right, right. And that's why I think that like documentation is so important.
Yeah.
And like for me, posting on social media, there's a sense of like accountability there too. Like I've kept up this pattern that other people have
Yeah.
noticed, and and so there's some impetus to doing so. But yeah, that like being able to look back at time-stamped moments where it's like very clear that I'm like feeling it.
Yeah.
That like I'm just yeah. I know that there was one point where I had like saved up some money, and there was this really lovely shop in Detroit that I'd gotten a coat at, and when I was there purchasing it, I just kind of casually browsed around, and I didn't have any money to do more than just buy a coat that day, but I've been like I need to come back here because there's some stuff here that's really amazing. I think would look great on me.
Yeah.
And so I went and after I'd saved up some money, I went and I purchased like three dresses or three outfits. And there was like a streak of where I wore like three or four outfits that I had never shown off before. And I
Yeah.
was, trying to find the right angles for it and hit those. And I was just like, wow, awesome. Okay, like this is something fresh and new. It aligns with my current tastes. And like I still like I'm loving the way that I look in this. And I think that for me, especially, it being tied to fashion, it being tied to clothing is indicative of kind of where I'm at now, where I'm like very happy with my body as it is, and where it continues to go. But I haven't had a chance to start like laser on my face for hair removal. And like
Yeah. Same.
while I, was not blessed with lovely hair on top of my head, it's pretty prolific on my face. So, seeing that shadow there all the time, makeup can do quite a bit to hide it, but
Yeah.
only for so long and only so well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I still haven't yet gotten one of those pictures, unless like the lighting and angle were such that like you really couldn't see that shadow anymore. There, I'm
Yeah.
like really happy with the way that my face looks. But prior to that, yeah, there's like this really long streak after kind of showing off how I wanted to look, the kind of clothes I wanted to wear, showing off my style, that I remember hitting a kind of similar streak.
It's so euphoric, right? It's just like
So
most
incredibly
unbelievable
euphoric.
thing. Yeah.
Yes. It's like, wow, I can feel this way. That's wild. I've never felt this way
Right?
about a
It's
photo of me, about
amazing.
how I look. Like, that's a new experience.
Yeah, it's so cool. I want to throw out there really quick though, because of what you mentioned, something that helped me early on in transition. Now when I shave, I can shave close enough that I don't get shadow all day because HRT has also slowed my hair growth just enough that I'll have shadow in the morning when I wake up, but not in the evenings. But at the beginning, that was not the case. And what really worked for me is you can get Hollywood beard cover that they use in shows, and you put it on, but you don't spread it. You blot it on so that you like kind of pack it into the pores over the heads of the hairs, and then you put your foundation over that, and it hides it really, really well. So any trans ladies or non-binary folks with facial hair issues, you're looking to cover it up, definitely look into Hollywood beard cover. Put it under your foundation. It will probably help a whole lot. It's good stuff.
I'm going to be asking you for a link after the show.
I will find it and send it to you. Okay, we then moved to July 30th, 2023, which was my new favorite photo of me ever. And then I had another one. It took a while, but June 2nd, 2024, my new favorite selfie. And actually, I saved like 7 or 8 shots from that set because they're all my favorite. I love them so much. I don't know what was going on, but that was a really good day. And my hair is up in a pineapple again, held with a large white bow. It's really good. It's a white bow that I talked about in the bows and sexuality and gender episode. One of the ones that I made you get a long time ago when I was trying to force bows on you, not realizing that I wanted them on me.
And after you transitioned, I dumped all the bows.
You did.
The bed and said, they're yours now.
But it looks good on me, right? I mean, come on, look at that photo. It's really good. Okay. Even in the throes of those 10 selfies that I loved in a row, I could only hope a new favorite photo ever selection was to come. I held no illusion that photos would remain non-dysphoric forever. I was sure the streak would end at some point, and there'd be times where I'd struggled to find myself in them again. And 2.5 years later, it still hasn't happened? And don't get me wrong, I have bad photos I dislike, photos I hate even, but it's only because I think they're bad photos, not because they give me dysphoria. And that is absolutely wild. I never thought that was something that would or even could happen. I couldn't have ever anticipated this when my transition began, and certainly not at any point pre-transition. It had me on the verge of tears, but they were tears of joy, and I don't know how to react. I barely dared to even hope that day would ever come. That it ever even got a little better at all felt like a miracle. To be where I am now, it feels unreal, surreal, anti-real, an impossibility made possible because I refuse to let my fears stop me. And very much to my surprise, people have complimented my selfies a lot and continually asked me for tips and even asked if I'd put together a guide on how to get the good ones. It's so wild. So please come back next week when I finally do that in Photos 3, Tilly's Guide to Selfies. I'm sure at some point I'll have another new favorite photo because I take new selfies I absolutely love all the time now. And the wildest thing about that is that I am actually legit sure it will happen again. Dang! Thanks for being here, Errata.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I hope down to the atoms of my heart every trans person gets to this place. Actually, I wish that for all of you, trans or otherwise, wherever you are, everything you want is on the other side of fear. Don't let that stop you. The fight is worth it. Tilly Bridges, end transmission.
Tilly's Trans Tuesdays is hosted by Tilly Bridges and Susan Bridges with audio editing and sound mixing by Jillian Morgan. The Google Doc and social media versions of this week's topic and all past topics are available at tillystranstuesdays.com. Special thanks to Daisy and Jane for the use of Sorry Not Sorry as our show's theme music. Please stop by and show your support at daisyandjane.bandcamp.com and soundcloud.com/daisyandjane. You can find me at Tilly Bridges on Bluesky, Twitter, and Hive, on Mastodon at tillybridges at mastodon.social, at facebook.com/TillySBridges, and on Insta and Threads at HeckYeahTillyBridges. And you can find Susan on most of those at Susan L. Bridges. You can find Jillian at Audio Jillian on Bluesky. You can join the Tillyverse Discord server by following the link at the very bottom of tillystranstuesdays.com. We hold regular watch parties for the Matrix films and other trans movies where I do a live Q&A, and it's blossomed into a wonderfully supportive, compassionate, kind community of friends. We'd love to have you join us. For more information, visit pendantaudio.com. Thanks for listening.